Hello, this is Rev Dore, Jacques Patlian, teaching the science of mind, faith, philosophy, and way of life from beautiful Sarasota, Florida. It's actually pretty gray today. Looks more like LA in June. Today we want to talk about what we know and what we don't know. And I want to start by asking a question. Why do we still have religion in the world? Why in this age of science, technology, and knowledge at the click of a mouse do billions still cling to religion? The election by the Catholic College of Cardinals of a new pope has thrown religion onto the cover of the usually ultramodern and rather secular Time magazine, into the world's blogs, press, and conversations in a way not seen in many years. The fact that the election results produced the first pope from the Western Hemisphere in 520 years after Europe first was made aware there was a Western Hemisphere, not only refocused the world's attention on religion, but highlighted the continuing Eurocentric nature of the Catholic Church in particular, and Christianity in general. It's kind of strange it took 520 years for the Vatican to find a new world man holy enough to wear the shoes of the fisherman. It's kind of hard for Europe to give up control of the vestiges of its empire, both spiritual and secular, isn't it? How can religion still be relevant in an age when much of its doctrine is in total variance with what we know to be proven scientific fact? In many cases, we've been there. There is no heaven right up above us in the clouds because we've been into space. We've sent probes all the way to the nearest star, Alpha Centauri. How can we recite words and creeds that do not teach anything like the literal truth, even if we can convince ourselves that they teach spiritual truth? How can we believe in meant to be when we know in our hearts that we're the motive force of our life, not some divine puppet master pulling the strings of every detail of our lives? Seems very strange to me that people with advanced educations can still believe in meant to be when they have been steeped in science and the scientific method for years and years. Somehow they cope with the paradox, and I respect them for doing it, but I couldn't do it. Who is it up there that means it to be? That's the question. Perhaps the answer is that the more facts we amass and the more knowledge we have at our fingertips, the less wisdom there seems to be in the world. Now, knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing by any means. You know, there's a lot of very, very smart people who are damn fools. I used to be one of them, I know. In the spring of 2013, the world is inarguably the best condition it's ever been in from a material perspective. Oh, I know there are lots of people who love to cry gloom and doom and think this is the worst of times, but their pessimism betrays their total ignorance of history. I'm a historian, taught it for 20 years. It's my passion, and I'm telling you that more people live in at least relative freedom and democracy than ever in the history of this planet. Most of the modern world's history, we were the only democracy on the planet. One. Now there are literally 80 to 90 of them in one way or another. Some are less free, some are more, but the people do get to vote for their leaders. Perhaps most telling is the fact that more children go to bed with a full stomach than ever before in history. We are, in fact, living in a golden age of knowledge, freedom, and abundance. There are no major wars. By and large, the world is at peace. There is still much work to be done, but consider the world's perennial poor of the 50s and 60s in India, Latin America, and Africa, and China, who are now among the rising powers of the modern world and getting richer by the day. For all its problems, Africa has never been governed, never been better fed, and never better educated than right now. Yes, the Congo is still a sinkhole of misery. It's the terrible legacy of King Leopold, and it seems to live on in that blighted land, but it is still the exception, not the rule. What has not improved is the health of our spirits and souls. We've spent 2,000 years mastering the physical world and our material environment, but we are far from through with that mastery. There's more to do. We spend almost no time on our spiritual evolution. While that which passes away, which is the material in our bodies, has been the focus of almost all of our efforts, that which is eternal, which is our mind and our soul, seems to be caught in a time warp. We have stood on the moon, we'll be on Mars soon, and yet our spirit and soul is still fed religions that were developed when the chariot was considered high technology. Is it any wonder that billions go through the motions of their religion while knowing that it just does not have the answers their hearts and minds demand in this 21st century world? Many of our world's immediate problems, unfortunately, are centered in the Islamic world. Why do you think this is? Perhaps it's because of all the world's great religion, only Islam was born in war and bloodshed and spread with fire, sword, and conquest. Now, to be fair, Muhammad didn't want it this way, but there was so much armed resistance to his new religion on the Arabian Peninsula that he literally had to fight for his life, and from there on, it got worse and worse. How an idea begins and spreads says much about the efficacy and truth of the idea. A religion of love, joy, truth, and forgiveness need not be spread by fire and sword. Love and peace do not come from fire and sword, but by the practice of love, forgiveness, and peace. Words of peace coexist in the Quran with jihad and with fire and sword and conquest, and that fact produces a spiritual schizophrenia which I believe keeps Islam from reaching the potential of its lovely verses and ideals. I see much of the same problem in the dichotomy of the Old and New Testaments in Christianity. Let's be fair about it. Christianity has the same problem. How can the God of Abraham be reconciled with the God of Jesus? How can an eye for an eye be reconciled with turn the other cheek? A God who turns people to pillars of salt and kills babies because he doesn't like them or they insult one of his prophets can't be reconciled with a God who's endlessly forgiving and is loving and unconditionally so. I don't have all the answers. I know only what seems true to me, and that's about all any of us has. Not one person on this planet knows the truth, if there is an absolute truth. Not one religion, not even mine, has all the answers. I think mine has a lot of good ones, but I'm sure it doesn't have them all. Not one culture or way of life is good for all. The only real truth that we all know is that we exist in body at this point in time and space, that we are energy beings, and that energy can never be created or destroyed, which seems to indicate that we've all existed since the beginning of it all in some form or another. We can all know that something or someone created it. The design is too perfect and too elegant to be chance, but we can't really know who or what that creator was. We know that random chance is a bit of a stretch for a thinking person. It's a bit like thinking that 500 monkeys put in a room full of typewriters can eventually produce the complete works of Shakespeare by just punching the keys. The thinking person is left to ponder the creator, the great architect, and who and what that is. Somebody with a mind very greater than ours designed all this stuff. Look at the double helix of DNA and then tell me something didn't put that together. The entire matrix we call the universe is constantly being created, recreated, and updated. And that's what evolution is the update mechanism of the universe. Creation is an ongoing process, so we know that the great mind, or whoever, whatever it is, will be forever with us. It's not static. There's changing. Our complete body of cells changes every 7 years. We're not the same person as we were just 8 years ago. So we know that things are always refreshed and retooled. What we do not know is the exact nature of that creator, but does it really matter what it or he or she looks like? Not really. It is that it is, and that's all we need to know. I suppose my ultimate truth is that I did not create myself or this universe. Therefore, there's a power much greater than I that did create it, and creates all that exists and continues to recreate me and everything around me forever and ever, world without end. For that and the power to create my own life experience, I say prayers of gratitude each morning and night and often throughout the day, and I suggest you join me in doing that. Gratitude is the engine oil of the universe. All good things come from a grateful heart. What I know is that love trumps hate, that peace is healthier than war, that an immortal spirit lives within each human heart, waiting to be recognized, and that we are creations of that great mind, the great soul that we've nicknamed God for lack of a better name. The universe runs on laws that are not of our making, spiritual laws and physical laws that we may use to create our experience, make our material world better, and realize our divine potential. That, for me, about sums it up. Anything else is opinion and should be marketed as such. Don't forget to pick up my book, The Death of Religion, The Dawn of Spirituality, A New Faith and Philosophy for the 21st Century. It's available on Amazon.com or bein.com. Just put my name in the search box. That's Dore Patlian, Dorepatlian. It'll come right up. Watch for the new book coming out in 2 months, The Fabulous 51. Until we speak again, may the indwelling God in you bless each day of your life with plenty, happiness, and peace. Bye-bye for now.